What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my breakdown and prediction for Gilbert Burns versus Tyron Woodley. Welcome back to another fight prediction here. Tyron Woodley versus Gilbert Burns. A pretty fascinating matchup. You have Gilbert Burns, who's been looking absolutely phenomenal against not the best competition, but Demian Maia is always a tough out. So props to him for that, getting that knockout there. And then Tyron Woodley, someone who was looking very, very good, was on a big win streak, and then it was snapped by Kamaru Usman. Woodley got dominated. He looked like he did not want to be in there. So a lot of question marks surrounding Woodley and where he's at right now with his rap career and all that. But we're going to get into the stats here, give my prediction, and before we start all that, if you guys can give this video a like, also subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd really appreciate that. Almost to 2K subscribers, so hopefully we hit that pretty soon in the next couple days here. That'd be awesome. Thank you guys for all the support. And with that said, let's get into it. So this card is going to be happening UFC Fight Night 172 at the Apex Center. Burns versus Woodley on Saturday. Really looking forward to it. This matchup is very, very good. The line for Woodley is minus 190. It opened up at like minus 130, and I was extremely confused because I do think Woodley should be the favorite here, and I do think Woodley should be a biggish favorite, kind of like minus 200. But yeah, let's get into the stats and everything. So Tyron Woodley is minus 190. Like I said, he is 19-4. He is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. That one loss being Kamaru Usman. He's 5'9", going to be at a 1 inch height disadvantage, and then he has a 74-inch reach, which is like 3 or 4 inch is in reach advantage there for Woodley. He is 38 years old, getting up there in age. He does train out of American Top Team, very good camp there. So it finishes, he's won by knockout 37% of the time. He's won by submission 26% of the time, and he's won by decision 37% of the time. And he does finish 63% of his wins. As for striking, he lands 2.64 significant strikes per minute, which is very, very low output. Usually he sits back and tries to land that shot. But yeah, he does not throw much output out there, which is pretty concerning in this matchup, I'd say. But he has a 48% striking accuracy, and he does absorb 3.95 significant strikes per minute. He has a 57% striking defense, which is not awful. But as for grappling, he averages 0.44 takedowns for 15 minutes. If he wants to get takedowns here, I think he can. Burns doesn't have the best takedown defense, but I don't know if Woodley's going to want to go for takedowns because Burns is a second-degree black belt in BJJ. Maybe he does later in the rounds, but he does have a 38% takedown accuracy, which is not too great. And then he has a 92% takedown defense, which is extremely good. His takedown defense is amazing, unless he's going up against, say, Kamaru Usman. So, other than that, his takedown defense is phenomenal. Last 3 fights, he lost the unanimous decision to current champ Kamaru Usman. Yeah, I mean, no shame in that at all. I mean, he looked like he did not want to be there. He did not look like himself, but he got dominated. Did not do much at all in that fight. It was all Usman pretty much the whole time. So it was a little bit concerning watching that fight back and just seeing how it looked like he wasn't trying at all. I mean, I'm sure he was trying, but it just did not look like he was putting much effort into the fight, which is very concerning going forward in his career. Before that, he did submit Darren Till in round 2. Good win there, and then he won a unanimous decision against Demian Maia. Notable wins, like I said, Darren Till, 2018, Stephen Thompson, 2017, Robbie Lawler, 2016, and then Demian Maia, 2017. Some notable losses, just Kamaru Usman, 2019. Before that, he was on a pretty big win streak, looking very, very good. And yeah, Woodley was like a minus 170 favorite against Usman too, and that's just seems crazy to me looking back at it. But yeah, minus 170 against Usman, that's insane. Gilbert Burns, he is a plus 165 underdog. He is 18-3. He is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Has been on a very, very nice win streak here. Has been looking really, really good. I do think he deserves this fight with Woodley, although it is a pretty big step up in competition. He is 5'10". He has a 71-inch reach, so it's going to be about a 3-inch reach disadvantage. He is 33 years old. As for finishes, he's won by knockout 29% of the time. We saw him win by knockout his last fight against Demian Maia. He's won by submission 47% of the time. Pretty much a BJJ guy, but he does pack that power. He has won by decision 24% of the time as well. He's finished 76% of his fights. For striking, he lands 3.22 significant strikes per minute, which is a little bit more than Woodley with a 44% striking accuracy. He absorbs 3.25 significant strikes per minute with the 57% striking defense. Grappling, he averages 2.6 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 39% takedown accuracy. Not the best wrestling, but I think he's going to have a lot of trouble getting Woodley down in this fight, especially with how good Woodley's takedown defense really is. And then Burns does have a 42% takedown defense, which is not too great at all. So I feel like Woodley, if he wants to, in the later rounds, if Burns is a little bit tired, if he wants to take down Burns, wear him out on the ground, I feel like he could do that for sure. But I feel like this fight's going to be standing most of the time. Last 3 fights, he finished Damian Maia in round 1. We all remember that. He won a unanimous decision against Gunnar Nelson, and then won a unanimous decision against Alexei Kunchenko. So some solid wins there. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty big step up in competition for Gilbert Burns here. Notable wins, Damian Maia 2020, and then notable losses, Dan Hooker 2018. So Tyron Woodley, he's lost by decision 3 times. He's lost by knockout once. Very, very low output, like I said. Extremely powerful. It has amazing takedown defense unless he's fighting, Kamaru Usman, like I mentioned. But other than that, his takedown defense is on point. He's never been submitted. He's a black belt in BJJ. A lot of you guys might not know that, but he is a black belt in BJJ. And he has a very good chin as well. I do question where his head is at, though, at this point of his career, with all the outside influences, his rap career, which is not very good, and then, just other things, like he didn't look like he wanted to be in the fight against Usman. So I do question where his head's at this point of his career, which is a little bit concerning. This matchup against a Burns who's very, very hungry, very, very motivated fighter. I like Burns quite a bit, so I do think Burns is going to be the hungrier fighter here. But Gilbert Burns has been knocked out once. He's lost by decision 2 times. He hasn't lost since 2018. That was against Dan Hooker. No shame in that loss at all. Dan Hooker's a very good fighter. He has some good power for a, quote, BJJ guy, but he has 3 knockout wins since 2015, and he is a second-degree black belt in BJJ. So in most of his fights, he wants to get to the ground, but I've seen his striking improve leaps and bounds over his past couple fights. His striking looks, he's made a lot of improvements in his striking, so good for Burns on that. So I feel like Burns can keep it standing in most of his fights. He can take it to the mat. I feel like Burns can take it anywhere because his striking has improved quite a bit. But he's never been submitted in MMA, so I don't see anybody really getting submitted here. If somebody gets submitted, it's probably going to be Woodley if Woodley gasses out. If Burns can get Woodley down, I feel like Burns maybe submits Woodley later in the fight, but I don't feel like anybody's going to get submitted in this fight. Burns is going to be the younger and more motivated fighter here, in my opinion. I think we can all agree that. We don't know where Woodley's head's at right now, and yeah, that's why it makes this fight a little bit concerning. So as for my prediction, I think this fight's going to stay standing unless Woodley takes Burns down. Woodley has very good takedown defense. I just don't see Woodley getting taken down here. I'd be very, very surprised if Woodley did get taken down here. I feel like once Burns feels that power of Woodley, though, that Burns will try to get Woodley down. But yeah, like I said, I'll be extremely surprised if Burns ends up getting Woodley down. I just don't see that happening at all. I feel like if Woodley wants to later in the rounds, he could land some takedowns on Burns if Burns kind of gets tired, and I think Burns is content off his back, second-degree black belt. I think he's fine off his back, but maybe Woodley wants to take him down and wear him out. But for me, it comes down to the power and the striking here, because I think that's where the fight's going to play out most. Both guys have power here, but I think Woodley's the more powerful fighter than Burns, and I still think Woodley has that better striking, although Woodley is very low output. If Woodley does not knock out Burns, I feel like this fight's going to be very close. If this goes to decision, it has split written all over it. Burns is most likely going to be the more active fighter, land more strikes, try to do more than Woodley, and Woodley's just going to sit back and try to get a finish. So maybe that works for Woodley, maybe it doesn't, but that's what makes this fight so hard to call. Kind of reminds me of the Ngannou-Rozenstruik fight. Ngannou does not throw much at all, but Rozenstruik it throws a little bit more than Ngannou. But Ngannou has that power, and Woodley, same thing. Woodley has that power. I mean, not the power of Ngannou, but I feel like if Rozenstruik didn't get knocked out, he could have possibly won a decision with output alone. But same thing here. I feel like if Woodley does not knock out Burns, I feel like Burns might just win a decision on output alone. If Woodley does not go for takedowns, if it's on the feet, I feel like Burns is going to be the more active fighter. But that power of Woodley, he is very, very powerful, and we've seen Burns knocked out before. So I'm going to lean with Woodley to get the knockout here. I'm not a big fan of Woodley at all. I really don't like the guy as a fighter, as a person. I don't know why. I just never have. And I do like Burns quite a bit. But this is an extreme step up in competition for Gilbert Burns. You're going from guys like, Damian Maia, Alexei Kunchenko to Tyron Woodley. I just think it's a huge step in competition. If a motivated Woodley shows up and it looks like he wants to be in there, I think Woodley takes this all day. It's just, like I said, Burns is the hungrier fighter, so it comes down to who's more hungry. But I just think Woodley's going to catch him in that second or third round. As for betting goes, Tyron Woodley is minus 190 favorite. Gilbert Burns is a plus 165 underdog. Woodley did open up as a minus 130 favorite, like I said, which is extremely crazy. I feel like he should be like in the minus 200 range, like around minus 200. I'm personally going to stay away from the fight betting wise. There's just too many question marks for me on where Woodley's head's at. I'm interested in hearing some Woodley interviews and seeing him on the scale. For what I heard from some of his interviews, that he's ready to go. So we're about to find out to see if he's ready to go. Very intrigued for this matchup. This fight is so hard to call, but honestly, if this fight was booked like 2 years ago, I think Woodley would be like a minus 400 favorite, even wider than that. Even it's just a lot of recency bias with how good Burns has been looking and how Woodley got dominated by Usman. I think the recency bias is absolutely crazy here, especially with the line opening up at minus 130, minus 135. That's just silly. So I do think Woodley wins. I will be rooting for Burns. I just don't see how Burns is going to take the fight here. I think Woodley has the advantage in the wrestling, in the striking, and the power. I think Burns has the BJJ advantage, but will he get Burns down? I don't think so. So I'm going to lean with Woodley. I think this has potential to be kind of a boring fight if Burns plays into like Woodley's game plan. But if Burns brings the fight to Woodley, I can just see it being a kind of exciting fight, and Burns probably getting clipped with that power of Woodley. Shooting for takedowns, probably not getting him, and then Woodley and Burns probably getting tired, and Woodley finishing him in that second or third round. But yeah, let me know who you guys got. This fight is extremely hard to call for me. I would not be surprised if Burns edged out a decision, but I am going to go with Woodley for the knockout. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give this video a like. Also check out my other videos. Going to be posting full card breakdown hopefully Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest, and then also my DraftKings breakdown, FanDuel, and then my betting breakdown I'm going to do on Thursday or Friday, so look out for that as well. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd really appreciate that. Let's get 2,000 subscribers, and yep, if you have any bets this weekend, good luck, and let's have another great fight card.